because Sri Lanka is almost a country that has marketed itself that, tourism is back to what it is. This year might be the best year on record. In terms of numbers, I think we kudos to all of y'all for actually doing these things, and I think going above your curriculum to do things that are a bit innovative, interesting. For me, tourism is all about innovation as in creating something new. It's not really technological innovation or different experience. Like, there are so many little things you can actually do within the industry, and I think at Thema, we're now going to open our 30th hotel next year. Now the trends are changing. People want experiences. People want something unique, something different. We opened a hotel in 2021, right after COVID, where not many people thought that would be. We opened.
Are you interested in travel industry or are you expected to work in travel industry? Then this program is for you. Today we have someone special in our program, Mr. Maxime Wickramasinghe, Director of Marketing and Business Development in Thema Collection and Connaissance, Ceylan. Welcome, Mr. Maxime.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Since the Sri Lanka is blooming currently tourism, let's start with a question like this. So Sri Lanka faced different kinds of problems in the past few years due to COVID-19 and Sri Lankan economic imbalances. Sri Lankan tourism had to face many problems. But currently you can see Sri Lankan tourism is recovering and has started to bloom up. What is your opinion about that?
Yeah, I think it's great. I mean, we've had issues since 2019, and now it's good that, tourism is back to what it is. This year might be the best year on record. In terms of numbers, I think we have to also start moving away from just looking at numbers per se, because Sri Lanka is an island with lots to offer, but there's obviously, I think, going to be a capacity at the end of the day.
Yes.
To how many tourists you can have. So I think that's something that really needs to start being looked at. I think it's really positive because, up until now, there hasn't been a long-term tourism campaign as well, and that is set to launch couple of months, I believe. So I think once that comes, because Sri Lanka is almost a country that has marketed itself from the private, not saying the government and the tourist board hasn't done much, but the marketing campaign has been offline for the last for quite a long time now, since before COVID. So I think there's definitely a lot more that we can do into marketing the country into the right aspects. But it's really good. I think, a lot of people have suffered quite a lot from the lack of tourism, and now there's a lot more investment, people looking into doing things. But also we need to make sure that we invest in the right way, and that, that we don't look at just the next 5 years, we look at how we can sustain it over the next, 100, 20, 25, 50, 100 years.
So as you are the Director of Marketing and Business Development of Thema Collection and Connaissance, Ceylan, you have done a lot compared to the other brands, hospitality brands in Sri Lanka. What is the secret behind that?
I think firstly, it really does help that we are, a privately owned company, which is very much a family business. With my father, as well as with my uncle Chamin, and of course there's a lot of other players, but we try to, still have a bit of that very open environment where, we can from whatever level of staff, you can just come and directly communicate with us. So I feel like because of that, we've been able to actually take some really quick decisions, and we're very much on the ground when it comes to things. I think at Thema, we're now going to open our 30th hotel next year. We opened a hotel in 2021, right after COVID, where not many people thought that would be. We opened a hotel we got a hotel on board in 2022. We now another one in 2023. So we are very much, very, very positive about the industry. And also, I think we have a bit of a different approach when it comes to things. We look at concepts, we look at ideas, we look at creating things with a story. And I think that's what people are looking for now in tourism. So I think the same translates also with Connaissance in terms of our travel agency. We try to be as hands-on as possible. We try to be perfectionists. We also try to be very detailed and innovative in what we do. Every time I go and speak to a client, I like to say that we found something new in Sri Lanka to do, or we created something new, And that's very much the formula that is. We always want to create and bring out new parts of Sri Lanka, new things to do in Sri Lanka. And I think that's really essential. You need to always see how you can improve and how now the trends are changing. People want experiences, people want something unique, something different. And that's what we're trying to do with the hotels as well as the travels. I think, since 2019, I think we've added so many new properties, so many new products where a lot of people were quite negative on the industry, and it's now paying off with tourism coming back.
So I saw that you have implemented different kinds of name to each property, and also they are more Sri Lankan based.
Yes.
So how do you come up with these names?
So I think it's just it's usually there's different actors. I think if my father is definitely such a creative and innovative person, but usually what happens is we'll just go to a place, maybe a land we have or the land we're looking at, and then we just get inspired by what's around there. You spend a bit of time and then you do a lot of research into what it is. So for example, our newest property, Varaka, it's a land that we've had for quite a while, and we've always just loved the fact that the land has around 23 jack trees on it, and from that the inspiration came, and it's such a versatile fruit that you can use as fruit, a vegetable. As a lot of people use it as a meat substitute as well. If you look at polos, in the West, so we really got inspired by that, the colors and all of that, and then we wanted to create something quite unique that fits in, and also that fits an important market of having a boutique hotel in Udawalawe. So we don't have a particular plan per se. We just go to a place and really get inspired. So even Kalloya, we just went there and then we just fell in love with the concept, the idea, and then we created the property being inspired by the nature, the culture, the Adivasi people, even tea and experience. We just went there and saw this abandoned factory for 30 years and thought, wow, this location is too good not to use. So it's just a lot on feeling and emotion, and just creating something that we think we would appreciate and others often do. So it's good.
So my next question is based on Sri Lankan government policies. So recently, they implemented a policy called minimum rates for the hotels in Colombo. I know this doesn't much interact with their hotels, but what is your opinion on that?
I think, as a hotel company, we are, it has been tough, right? But, we believe that the free market should be the one that really sets the rates. So we have the foot in both camps, as in having hotels and having a DMC. I think and there's been a lot of talk of implementing island-wide. I think that would be catastrophic, because Sri Lanka, what people don't realize, yes, it was underpriced, but it was underpriced because we didn't have the demand. Now the demand is back. Those prices should be achieved by the hotel by having their superior service levels. I think, for us, it could be very simple. For example, if you look at a place like Sigiri, there's a minimum rate. I'm sure our hotel would probably be one of the best in the category, because, we won't have to have undue competition. But that's not the way it should work. You should rely on innovation. You should rely on competitiveness. That is what brings industries forward. In any country, in any type of industry, that has been what has actually been a driving force for innovation and things like that. So I don't see why we're sitting back behind this. It's been really detrimental. Colombo is a very different. Most of our clientele is European. We do have clients coming from the Middle East and from all over the world. But at Connaissance, the Ceylan travel arm, most of our client is European, and they already don't really want to spend time in Colombo. So adding things like this, you're kind of actually cutting off an entire market. So it's very important, and Colombo is a place where that really relies on, from, I would say, regional traffic from the Middle East, from these areas, for a lot of incentives and MICE tourism. And MICE tourism, you have to be competitive, because they don't come necessarily to Sri Lanka for a particular reason. They need the venues, they need the prices, and of course there are attractions why to come to Colombo and why to come to Sri Lanka, but you have to be competitive. Competitiveness is very important. I think we really need to understand that cutting competitiveness and innovation is not a good thing in the long run. And we should be able to, as a country, be able to demand that price because the demand is there. So as long as we don't do that, I don't think sitting behind minimum rates is helpful at all for the country.
So as you mentioned, Sri Lanka attracts different types of countries, like European countries and USA, UK, and so on. What kind of strategies you use to harmonize all these types of categories or national?
So yeah, I think it's very important having a good mix because you have certain clients that travel that have different patterns of travel as well, right? If you look at a global outlook, so for example, like at the moment, Russia is probably number one. They will travel a lot to the beaches. So for example, having the Russian market is very important. For example, for the East Coast this year, we're technically still in the, shouldn't be, but it's still considered the off season or just the season starting. But January, February, March have been very good and probably one of the best on record because this year, the Russian market actually started traveling to the East Coast. So and then you have certain European markets where, they are more touring based, itinerary based. So they will go and travel to all the locations as well, all different types of locations. You have certain countries that are a bit more adventure based. These are all generalizations, but it's very important to have, and also seasons. For example, usually traditional European markets like Germany, France, UK will usually travel during the winter. But for example, the Spanish, sometimes they will travel during the summer. So it's important to have a really good mix and understand what are the patterns of all these markets so that you can actually, it's not about, I think, getting everyone down in January, February, March. It's about how we can spread that out and how we can have, consistent occupancies during the entire year. So I think it's very important to look at that, and also, looking at our capacities and, how we do our promotions and how, these type of markets can help Sri Lanka move forward. I think there's also, a question sometimes I think that comes with regard to, I think it's also important to make sure you don't overly rely on the market. And because, unfortunately, there are a lot of, countries that, they have certain biases. They don't like traveling when another country is traveling. I'm not going to name the names because I think it's quite obvious. I think honestly that's quite silly. I think you can't just rely on these ridiculous things. A person is human after all, so you can't be relying on that. But it is true that you can't overly rely on one market, because then that place sometimes kind of changes and it becomes sort of people. I mean it's no secret, or foreigners have come and started opening businesses without the proper legal procedures and all of that. So I think it's really good to have a balance. And if you have more than 80% occupancy from one market in a hotel, I think that's very dangerous. So it's good to have a bit of everyone coming into the country, and that's how it should be, because then you don't have an over-reliance, and if something happens in that one country, that could be very detrimental to the country. To Sri Lanka, for example, the Russian market just suddenly stops tomorrow. That's going to give a massive hole in Sri Lanka. So I think it's time that we look for the next season how we can, how we can have a good mix of everyone. So it's been very crucial to Sri Lanka's recovery, the Russian and the CIS markets, but it's important, I think, to have a good balance of all types of nationalities coming in.
So since lots of people were studying tourism and hospitality industry, watching this video, I have another question for you. Since you are a youngster who has gone up the ladder, what is your message to the people who are planning to join this industry, and what kind of challenges they will face, and what are the benefits they can gain?
Yeah, I think it's really amazing. Firstly, kudos to all of y'all for actually doing these things, and I think going above your curriculum to do things that are a bit innovative, interesting, and I think that's really what needs to happen. For me, tourism is all about innovation, as in creating something new. It's not really technological innovation also, but that also plays a part sometimes in the way your holidays, for example. But I think that's what, if someone wants to be successful, they need to always keep learning. Sri Lanka has so much to offer, and every day we are also still learning about the country. So you need to know your country really well. Even if you're working in hospitality, you still that's such a benefit if you know your country inside out. So I think that's one, but then you need to always keep searching and try to innovate, keep coming up with new concepts, keeping a very open mind, because if you look at it now, there are so many innovative places that have come up through people who are not, from any of the big companies. For example, you look at even a place like, I don't know if you've heard of Mambo's in Hikawa, and now Arugambe as well. So they actually basically pioneered the surfing culture and the surfing tourism in Sri Lanka. So then there are other places like Cafe Chilinella. So these are also places that, Cafe Chilinella, I think, is probably the a la carte restaurant in Sri Lanka that serves the most people. Don't quote me on that fact, but they probably serve the most people on a daily basis, because you go to that place, there's like 150 people eating, you still have a really nice vibe. So, there's a lot of different things. I think sometimes thinking out the box is really good. Even places like Smoke and Bitters and Irikatia, those are just such innovative products that really have basically not thrown out the drawing board, but they try and do something totally unique and different. You don't have to be working at a travel agency or hotel. I think it's, you just have to have the passion, have an idea, definitely learn. It's very important to even sometimes work in a hotel, work in a travel agency, learn, but also don't be afraid of, coming up with your own innovative products. It could be something as simple as creating a Colombo city walk or a different experience. Like, there are so many little things you can actually do within the industry, and you would be actually surprised. It's, I've got I know a guy who does a tuk-tuk tour through that. Seen as a bad thing almost, being in the tuk-tuk culture and all of that, but those type of things really work. Like, even we actually organize, we currently have one around Sri Lanka where clients drive a tuk-tuk in an amazing race. So much you can do. It's just about, being innovative, but always learning, always trying to, create, and you need to have so many variety of skills. You need to know how to market, you need to know how to create, you need to also be good at all your admin, your finance. So, you need to basically learn, become an all-rounder, and always be inspired and do something a bit different. I think that's the way you can succeed. And it might not be growing up a ladder in a company, but it might be even creating your own thing, which is something we need. We need entrepreneurs in Sri Lanka.
Yes. So thank you for your insight. We have come to the end of the show. So thank you so much for spending your time on our show, and I think it was a very insightful discussion for all of us. We wish you good luck on your future endeavors.
Thank you so much.